Good. Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a surprise to me.
Okay.
I was just telling him how I had to bend your arm behind your back to get you here. I think it's the billboard.
Think so?
I think so.
Okay. Just told me. Man, he's here.
Yeah. I think it is.
But at least. Okay.
So how do you like looking in the dark? No, no, no. That's what it's called. And, my car's gonna be in the show. But I'm liking it so many people, I don't know.
Oh, very good. All right, good. Okay, 6 o'clock, it's time for us here. Okay.
Yep, it is. It's time to roll.
Okay, it's now 6 o'clock, and so let the minutes show that the meeting, our Board of Adjustment meeting, was open at 6 p.m.
For May 10th.
for May 10th, 2021.
And all commissioners are present, sir.
All are present. Good. Don't have to do a roll call. That being the case, the minutes from our last meeting,
No.
I think that means we don't have minutes, so we'll move on.
Y'all will one day.
Okay. All right, we have at least a couple things here on the agenda for tonight. The first one is a side setback variance for 5317 Aviator Drive, petitioner CNR Construction. The meeting is now open for discussion. Yes, sir, if you don't mind. Oh, both, would you state, you want to come forward so that we can hear you? If you would, please state your name.
I'm Rob Rubel, one of the owners of CNR Construction. This is Chris Bulis, the other owner of CNR.
Okay, nice having you, gentlemen.
I'm
So-
sorry, I didn't get Chris's last name.
Bulis,
Bulis.
You are LIS, I assume.
B-U-L-I-C-E.
Oh, LIC, okay.
So what we have here is with the last lot on Aviator that was for sale, and we had an engineering issue that come to light in our last little pie-shaped lot. If you look at the drawing that was included with our deal, it shows like 17 pins back there. It's a little exaggeration, but there is a bunch of them on the backside, in between 96 and 97. There's 5 or 6 actually back there, and there was a measurement discrepancy with Bond Engineering, and we finally got it lined out, but we only got it lined out after the houses were built on the preliminary plot. And when they come back out and remark them, we were within a couple inches of the 5-foot rule to the property line, just on the back corner of this house. Now, the back corner that's in question is the back porch. It's not a living area, it's just, 2 foot of it is within 4.9 feet of the property line, and it's literally just a concrete patio.
Any questions, concern?
So we're talking about 12, no, about 1 inch over? One
It's like 2
inch?
inches.
1-point-something inches.
1 point something inches.
So actually, this was more or less the, kind of the third?
Well, it was really boils down to the guy who developed the subdivision. In phase 1 are the houses behind us, and so they've got way too many pins in there.
And we're
And
phase
we're
5.
phase 5, so there's who took the measurements off of which pin for which phase is where the whole discrepancy came from. And so now after the houses are built, I can't move a whole house. So now we're like 2 inches or something like that off.
Right.
And I can't get a CO without y'all's approval saying that we're good.
Between 1 to 2
And without a
inches.
CO, the house won't get sold and
Okay, yeah.
solve other problems, so.
Is there anyone currently residing in lot 96, or is that still for sale?
No, well, no, I mean, it's under contract, but nobody's living there yet.
Nobody, it's not been purchased yet.
Well,
Oh, 96, yes.
96.
97, no.
Yeah.
96 is living there, and they put a fence, which he was wrong to begin with. He put a fence, there's a fence
That's-
discrepancy that we have to deal with them because
That's
He
how
went-
that's how this whole problem come about, is the fellow that bought lot 96, he put a fence up on what he thought was the property line, well, it was 2 inches from the house on lot 97. Well, then we got Manny and Melissa and everybody out there looking at it like, whoa, something ain't right here, we got all these pins out here, we don't know who's wrong, so we had to get bond engineering to come back out there, and this is how
So was the fence taken down and
it's not yet.
not yet, no, we have to, which, Manny said he don't care one way or the other about the fence. That's a civil issue. It's just a matter of can we get the 2 inch discrepancy cleared by the planning commission, and then we will deal with that with the homeowner. He's gonna have to move his fence or go to court.
Susan, do we know if anybody, the people that are under contract for lot 96 have said any complaints or anything about that
96 is
house?
completely sold.
They have
No.
had no complaints, no calls.
Okay, just making sure there's no complaints of the people who are going to,
Yes,
who
sir.
have any intention of purchasing this in that house and technically not at the legal.
Yeah,
The
well,
legal
96
ones,
is already purchased. 97 is the one that's under contract.
Yeah. I was just more speaking for the neighbors, or if the neighbors have spoken up and asked anything about
But
it.
we built 96 too, so really,
Yeah. All three
96,
of them.
95, and 97, we built all 3 of them, so they technically, when they were laid out before we sold them, they belonged to us.
Understood.
So now we're just, trying to correct the homeowner who just went in there and decided he just put a fence wherever he wanted to, and the fence company didn't think there's a problem when you lay a fence 2 inches from the
Right.
house. I'm not sure how you come up and decide that's an okay spot to put a fence, but I didn't put the fence up, so,
Just be glad it's 2 inches, not 2 feet.
yeah.
No, I'd rather it been 2 feet. Because he's 2 inches from
I
the
meant,
house.
yeah.
On the-
Okay.
on the very-
I meant the other way.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
For the variance?
Well, if it was 2 feet, then there would be a completely different
Right.
civil case on our behalf because it's not our fault that there's 19 pins, and our engineers is the one that laid the pins out, told us where the property lines were, so then back on them. So, and it's because it was laid out, phase 1, phase 5, so that's where the confusion got in, so that's what we're looking for, relief on the 2 inches, and we can do what we need to do.
Any other questions, concerns?
Jimmy, can you speak on any of that behalf?
We did list this lot that's requesting the variance with the sign in the yard, asking anybody had any questions or concerns to call us and let us know. To my knowledge, we haven't had any. However, lot 96, I believe we're referring to the neighbor that built the fence. There was some,
Complaints?
I'd say a large disagreement about the fence and where it should be. And, but I think, I've not heard from them since we got the new property lines marked out. And there was 3 different surveyors, engineers that done the phases for some subdivision. That's where things kinda got off, to say the least. But it is, I believe it's a pretty accurate drawing. It's like I said, about 2 1/4 inches from being 5 feet, ain't a bad compared to what it's really looking really tough there, because the fence was on the front porch practically.
Yeah.
Yes, couldn't even walk by there, but, I'm assuming the gentleman said he offered to move the fence, my understanding. I
Yeah,
think
he said he wanted a final engineered drawing certified by an engineer, and then he would move his fence, but until then. And we didn't even bring him this drawing yet until we get this done. So if the city accepts this drawing as fact, then we're going to him.
It was stamped by an engineering firm,
Yes.
my understanding,
Yeah.
looked at it today.
Yeah.
We had to take it for what it is.
I don't see any problem with 2 inch deal. I see them.
We're gonna call it an inch and a quarter, says Jim.
Oh, yeah,
That
okay.
way they get, if it isn't quite at if it isn't quite at 2 inches and a quarter, then they have a little bit to spare.
Okay.
Did you care for a motion?
Okay, the discussion is closed on this matter. It looks like we are ready for a motion to accept or approve the variance.
Make a motion to accept or to approve the setback variance for 513 or 5317 Aviator Drive.
I'll second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept or approve the variance for property at 5317 Aviator Drive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? It has been moved and properly second that the variance has been approved.
All right,
Thank you, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda is billboard review and variance. Request for 2701 TB White Drive. Petitioner RSG Sign and Builders. All right, if you don't mind, would you please come forward?
Good evening. I'm Jimmy Parker with Custom Advertising, and I represent Rainwater Holton Sexton here. I have Rick Gunther with me from Rainwater this afternoon.
Nice to see you.
Nice
And
having you.
We also have the property owner, Mr. Smith, with us as well here on this issue. We're asking the city to allow us a variance to put a billboard on the property. There was a billboard previously on the property, and it was lost due to road expansion, been a while back. But we'd like to ask the city to allow us to go back, and we want to mention a couple of things we think are important. The property that is directly behind the commercial property, the residential area is also owned by Mr. Smith here. So we wanted to mention that, and wanted to ask the city to allow us to build a billboard back on this property. We are sensitive to the lighting that billboards create, and we propose a V-top structure instead of a back-to-back that was there previously. We would also use a billboard that would automatically dim at night, so it would not create a nuisance as far as lighting goes. And we are, you should be 300 feet from the residential. We're right about 100 feet from that line behind there. So I would ask the city for a variance on the spacing.
Jimmy, you have any more information, knowledge on this one?
I'm sorry, sir.
Do you have any other information on this billboard or this? I guess I have one question though. Will the new billboard go where the old billboard was?
Very close. We're just going to be, I'd say, 50 to 70 feet from the old location. The old pole is still actually partially in the ground. The foundation and a little stud pipe, we'll call it, still exists there. But when the road came through, obviously the overhang of the billboard was past the right-of-way for the highway department. So the foundation is still intact, but we're going to be going about 50 to 75 feet away from that. Same general area, but not the exact spot.
Is that 50 or 70 closer to that residential area or away
No,
from it?
It would be a lateral along the highway.
Okay.
Normally speaking, the state don't allow, and I imagine he was compensated maybe for that sign when they took it. I'm not sure.
I don't think that was the case in this instance. Typically, that would be the billboard owner, and at the time that was Lamar Advertising. The property owner was compensated for the frontage for the
Exactly.
property, and we don't know the details of the agreement between
Sure.
Lamar and the highway
Yeah.
department.
But yeah, the state don't allow any part of the sign to hang over in their right of way. Has to be moved, and it was obviously in their right of way that they purchased, and so the sign had to be removed. And then, of course, they're requesting for
Yes,
a new sign to be back there.
Jimmy, a couple of questions, if I may ask. How big, how many, is it going to be back to back?
No, we propose a D-type for this particular
Okay.
structure so that we can help limit the illumination to the ground. If we were to go back to back, even if we have what we call broadband or broad spectrum LEDs where we're directionally shining that LED up, we still get a certain amount of ambient light. So if we take that structure and V it out, we're taking that light beam and sort of aiming it to the highway. So we're lessening the effect
Gotcha.
to the neighborhood.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, another question is, how high, how high can we have a sign in the city of Jacksonville? How high?
I'd like to refer that to Melissa. She's our city planner's on line right now. Melissa, can you answer that?
I'm looking for that, 1 second. I believe it is 55 feet in height. No, I'm sorry, it's 45 feet in height.
Yeah, 45 feet does sound right to me. I believe that's what I've read in the.
Is that gonna be 45 or less, or?
45 overall height.
Okay.
You know, I think the higher we are, the less ambient light we create at the ground. For that reason, we would ask for maximum height to limit that impact. You know, we want to be good neighbors, so we are going to use a unit that has auto dimming capability. So at night, it will be much dimmer than it would be late at night. It would be much dimmer than it would be early in the evening.
Another question is, how many signs can a business have?
Well, you can have one billboard sign per property, according to the highway department. Now, as far as the city code goes, typically you're allowed one pole sign for the business and one building sign for the business.
Okay,
But one billboard per property, according to.
Billboard's a little bit different,
RDOT.
but
Yeah,
yes,
it's a little
that is
different animal.
correct.
Gotcha.
For the business. He could be advertising a business in Little Rock for all we know. I mean, so
correct.
that kind of may not, a little different. in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, one structure is the answer, and
Yeah.
permitted by the highway department, it's one structure per property. So you know, obviously we have spacing issues that we deal with the highway department too. And just a little bit about me, I've been doing this for 35 years. We have 500 billboards in Arkansas. So I've been doing it quite a while. And we are members of the Beautification Council, where we make recommendations to the highway department on how to do things like we're talking about here today, how to be sensitive to light to areas, not to trim trees for billboards, things like that. So I've got a little experience.
So this is the building, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Be to the right
Yes,
of
it
that.
is.
Correct, okay.
Do you know how big this sign is going to be? Because I know we do have a maximum square footage for signs, correct, Jimmy or Melissa?
That is true for that face. Melissa, could you give me that number?
Might be around 500, I think, close to it, maybe.
I thought it was 672, but I may be mistaken.
Melissa?
Sorry.
I thought it
It's
was
1,000
672.
square feet for both sides.
1,000 square,
I repeat that, please.
1,000 square feet combined for both sides.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you all know, do you have in mind what are you
I would
just
say we
working
would
on
ask
this
for the
part first?
maximum size. If that's what's
Okay.
allowed, then we obviously would not exceed that.
So the 1,000 square feet.
That,
what you
and
would-
according to
Both sides,
municipality, both
total.
sides combined.
That's correct.
Yes.
500 for each.
Yeah.
But Miss Susan, we have had variance requests for more than a maximum, correct, in the past?
Yes, we've had several different types of requests regarding billboards, distance variances, height variances,
Okay.
and sign passage variances.
That's what I thought.
Any other questions, discussion, concern? So, just before taking a vote, the owners of the other lots, the residential lots, there's been no complaints from them?
No, sir, and in fact, I wanted to point out again that the residential, the home that's directly behind this commercial property is also owned by Mr. Smith, that is present today here. So he not only owns the commercial property that we're asking for, he owns the home behind there and the property next to it. So we're, you know, talking about the same person with the residential, at least for the first home there. And I've heard no opposition.
Mr. Smith, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're in agreement?
Yes, I'm fine.
Mr. Smith, your first name?
James Smith.
James, okay, thank you.
So is there anything unique about this property to make it a variance necessary?
Other than, you know, we did lose the billboard due to road widening. I think that was the only thing, you know, otherwise the billboard would still be there to this day. So and it is our intention to have the majority of these ads would be for Rainwater, Holt, and Sexton. We do anticipate having an off-premise permit if we're successful here at the city. The state has given us a verbal approval based on the outcome of the meeting tonight.
Okay.
Any further concerns? That being the case, the discussion on this matter is closed. Are we ready for a vote to accept the variance request?
We need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Also moved.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and properly second that the variance request for this billboard at the address 2701 TP White Drive be approved. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then the motion is carried, the request is approved. Thank you,
sir.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
and thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you all. What's the attorney, sir, what's your name? The attorney?
My name is Rick.
Rick, yeah. Hey, I took care of Stephen Holt when he passed away.
Max
I was at the funeral. I took care of Stephen. That was probably the biggest
Yeah,
presentation ever.
they were saying whatever comes out to the max, so I'm gonna put down.
How's his wife doing? She's still in Emmanuel.
Great.
Right, the max,
Really? Look, I don't even want to write my name down. It's William Montgomery.
Yeah.
Which took care of Stephen. That was probably the
Because they're
biggest
actually
presentation. It was bigger than Jenny's Osborne.
And this.
I believe that's all that, the business that's on the agenda.
Just recently.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting is now, oh,
William,
sorry.
You guys took care of him.
Yes, sir?
Yes, the conditional use request for.
That meeting hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
6:30 starts.
that one starts 6:30.
Anyway, husband.
Yes, adjustment.
Okay, my pleasure.
Appreciate y'all's help.
Wait,
Okay,
to adjourn.
the meeting is adjourned. Whoa, whoa.